opinion of the impersonalities that this material manifestation is false and that only the absolute truth is factual. The view of the personalist, however, is that the material world, although very temporary, is nevertheless not false but factual. Such transcendentalists have different arguments to establish the validity of their philosophies. Factually, the material world is simultaneously both truth and untruth. It is truth because everything is an expansion of the supreme absolute truth, and it is untruth because the existence of the material world is temporary. It is created and it is annihilated. Because of its different conditions of existence, the cosmic manifestation has no fixed position. Unquote. Those who advocate acceptance of this material world as false are generally known by maxim Brahma Satyam Jagam Mithya. They put forward the argument that everything in the material world is prepared from matter. For example, there are many things made of clay, such as earthen pots, dishes, and bowls. After their annihilation, these things may be transformed into many other material objects. But in all cases, their existence as clay continues. An earthen water jug, after being broken, may be transferred into a bowl or dish, but either as a dish, bowl, or water jug, the earth itself continues to exist. Therefore, the forms of a water jug, bowl, or dish are false, but their existence as earth is real. This is the impersonalist version. This cosmic manifestation is certainly produced from the absolute truth, but because its existence is temporary, it is false. The impersonalist understanding is that the absolute truth, which is always present, is the only truth. In the opinion of other transcendentalists, however, this material world being produced of the absolute truth is also truth. The impersonalists argue that this is fallacious because it is sometimes found that matter is produced from spirit soul, and sometimes that spirit soul is produced from matter. Such philosophers push forward the argument that although cow dung is dead matter, sometimes it is found that scorpions come out of a cow dung. Similarly, dead matter like nails and hair comes out of the living body. Therefore, things produced of a certain things are not always of the same quality as that thing. On the strength of this argument, Mayavadi philosophers try to establish that although this cosmic manifestation is certainly an emanation from the absolute truth, the cosmic manifestation does not necessarily have truth in it. According to this view, the absolute truth Brahman should therefore be accepted as truth, whereas the cosmic manifestation, although a product of the absolute truth, cannot be taken as truth. The view of the Mayavadi philosophers, however, is stated in the Bhagavad Gita to be the view of the Asuras or demons. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Asatyam अप्रतिस्थम ते जगत अहुर अनिश्वरम अपरास्पर संभुतम किम अन्यत काम हेतुकम. The Asura's view of this cosmic manifestation is that the whole creation is false. The Asuras think that the mere interactions of matter is the source of the creation and there is no controller or God, unquote. But actually, this is not the fact. From the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we understand the five gross elements, earth, water, fire, air, and sky, plus the subtle element, mind, intelligence, and false ego, are the eight separated energy of the Supreme Lord. Beyond this inferior material energy is a spiritual energy known as the living entities. The living entities are accepted as the superior energy of the Lord. The whole cosmic manifestation is a combination of the inferior and superior energies, and the source of the energy is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Personality of Godhead has many different types of energy. This is confirmed in the Vedas. Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyati. Quote, the transcendental energy of the Lord are variegated, unquote. And because of such variety of energies have emanated from the Supreme Lord, they cannot be false. The Lord is ever existing and the energies are ever existing. Some of the energy is temporary, sometimes manifested and sometimes unmanifested. But this does not mean that it is false. The example may be given that when a person is angry, he does things which are different from his normal condition of life. But the fact that the mood of anger appears and disappears does not mean that the energy of anger is false. Therefore, the argument of the Mayavadi philosophers that this world is false is not accepted by the Vaishnava philosophers. The Lord Himself confirms that the view that there is no supreme cause of this material manifestation, that there is no God, and that everything is only the creation of the interactions of matter, is a view of the Asuras. The Mayavadi philosophers sometimes put forward the argument of the snake and the rope. In the dark of evening, a curled up rope is sometimes, due to ignorance, taken for a snake. But mistaking the rope for a snake does not mean that the rope or the snake is false. Therefore, this example used by the Mayavadis to illustrate the falsity of the material world is not valid. When a thing is taken as fact but actually has no existence at all, it is called false. But if something is mistaken for something else that exists, that does not mean it is false. The Vaishnava philosopher used a very appropriate example. Just 1 minute, I need to answer. Who is this? Hello?
Hello?
Hello. Who is this? Yes. Yeah. Go ahead. મને તો આજે તો નહીં હોય કારણ કે I have already pre-planned my evening. એટલે કાલે હું આવી જઈશ યા
હા કેવું છે હમણાં વસ્તુ રેડી છે એટલે આપણે આવી જતા હો તો સારું હોય. કેવું છે પછી ઓર્ડરમાં બનાવવામાં વાર લાગે ને એટલે.
રાઈટ રાઈટ બટ આજે છે ને આઈ હેવ ઓલરેડી પ્લાન આઈ હેવ ગીવ ધ પ્રોમિસ સમવન ટુ વિઝિટ સો આઈ હેવ ટુ અટેન્ડ ધેટ યા ઓકે tomorrow I will call you okay
tomorrow એટલે કેટલા વાગે આવશે શું ટાઈમ એટલે.
Most probably in the evening. Most probably in the evening. After 6 o'clock.
After 3 o'clock.
After 6 o'clock. After 6 o'clock.
After 6 o'clock.
Yes.
ઓકે ઓકે ચાલો મંગાવીને રેડી રાખું તમે કાલે 5 વાગે પછી આવી જ જજો એમ.
Okay. Definitely. Okay. Thank you. This is for the silver well. 2 vendors dam are working, so let's see. Comparing this material world to an earthen pot. When we see an earthen pot, it does not at once disappear and turn into something else. It may be temporary, but the earthen pot is taken into use for bringing water, and we continue to see it as an earthen pot. Therefore, although the earthen pot is temporary and different from the original earth, we cannot say that it is false. We should therefore conclude that the earthen pot and the entire earth are both truths because one is the product of the other. We understand from the Bhagavad Gita that after the dissolutions of this cosmic manifestation, the material energy enters into the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is ever existing with his variegated energies. And because the material creation is an emanation from him, we cannot say that this cosmic manifestation is a product of something void. Krishna is not void. Whenever we speak of Krishna, he is present with his form, qualities, name, and truth, and the paraphernalia. Very well. Therefore, Krishna is not impersonal. The original cause of everything is neither void nor impersonal, but is the Supreme Person. Demons may say that this material creation is Anishwara, without a controller of God, but such argument ultimately cannot stand. The example given by the Mayavadi philosophers that the inanimate matter like nails and hair comes from the living body is not a very sound argument. Nails and hair are undoubtedly inanimate, but they come not from the animate living being, but from the inanimate material body. Similarly, the argument that the scorpion comes from the cow dung, meaning that a living entity comes from matter, is also unsound. The scorpion which comes out of the cow dung is certainly a living entity, but the living entity does not come out of the cow dung. Only the living entity's material body or the body of the scorpions come out of the cow dung. The spark of the living entities, as we understand from the Bhagavad Gita, are injected into the material nature, and then they come out. The body of the living entity is different from, is supplied by material nature. But the living entity himself is supplied by the Supreme Lord. The father and mother give the body necessary for the living entity under certain conditions. The living entity tries to migrate from one body to another according to his different disorder, which in the subtle form of intelligence, mind and false ego accompany him from body to body. By superior arrangement, a living entity is put into the womb of a certain type of material body, and then he develops a similar body. Therefore, the spirit soul is not produced from matter, it takes on a particular type of body under superior arrangement. According to our present experience, this material world is a combination of matter and spirit. The spirit is moving the matter. The spirit soul, the living entity, and matter are different energies of the Supreme Lord. And since both the energies are product of the Supreme Eternal or the Supreme Truth, they are factual, not false. Because the living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme, he exists eternally. Therefore, for him, there cannot be any question of birth or death. So-called birth and death occur because of the material body. The Vedic version Sarvam Kau Idam Brahma means that since both the energies have emanated from the Supreme Brahma, everything we experience is non-different from Brahma. There are many arguments about the existence of this material world, but the Vaishnava philosophical conclusion is the best. The example of the earthen pot is very suitable. The form of the earthen pot may be temporary, but it has a specific purpose. The purpose of the earthen pot is to carry water from one place to another. Similarly, this material body, although temporary, has a special use. The living entity is given a chance from the beginning of the creation to evolve different kind of material bodies according to the reserved desires he has accumulated from time immemorial. The human form of body is a special chance in which the developed form of consciousness can be utilized. Sometimes the Mayavadi philosopher puts forward the argument that if this material world is truth, then why are householders advised to give up their connection with this material world and take sannyas? But the Vaishnava philosopher's view of sannyas is not that because the world is false, one must therefore give up material activities. The purpose of Vaishnava sannyas is to utilize things as they are intended to be utilized. Srila Rupa Goswami has given transcendentalists two formulas for dealing with this material world. When a Vaishnava renounces the materialistic way of life and takes to sannyas, it is not on the conceptions of falsity of the material world, but to devote himself fully to engaging everything in the service of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore gives this formula, quote, one should be unattached to the material world because material attachment is meaningless. The entire material world, the entire cosmic manifestations belongs to God, Krishna. Therefore, everything should be utilized for Krishna and the devotees should remain unattached to material things, unquote. This is the purpose of Vaishnava sannyas. A materialistic sticks to the world for sense gratification. But a Vaishnava sannyasi, although not accepting anything for his personal sense gratification, knows the art of utilizing everything for the service of the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami has therefore criticized the Mayavadi sannyasis with his second formula. Quote, because the Mayavadis do not know that everything has a utilization for the service of the Lord, they take the world to be false and falsely think they are liberated from the contamination of this material world. Unquote. Since everything is an expansion of the energy of the Supreme Lord, the expansions are as real as the Supreme Lord is. That the cosmic world is only temporarily manifested does not mean that it is false or that the source of its manifestation is false. Since the source of its manifestation is truth, the manifestation is also truth. But one must know how to utilize it. The example of the earthen pot may be cited again. The earthen pot produced from the whole earth is temporary. But when used for a proper purpose, the earthen pot is not false. The Vaishnava philosophers knows how to utilize the temporary constructions of this material world, just as a sane man knows how to utilize the temporary construction of the earthen pot. When the earthen pot is used for a wrong purpose, that is false. Similarly, the human body or the material world, when used for sense gratification, is false. But if the human body and the material creation are used for the service of the Supreme Lord, their activities are never false. It is therefore confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that even slightly using the body and the material world for the service of the Lord can deliver a person from the greatest danger. When properly utilized, neither the superior nor inferior energies emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead are false. As far as fruitive activities are concerned, they are mainly based on the platform of sense gratification. Therefore, an advanced Krishna conscious person does not take to them. The result of fruitive activities can elevate one to the higher planetary system, but as it is said in the Bhagavad Gita, foolish persons, after exhausting the result of their past activities in the heavenly kingdom, come back again to this lower planetary system and then again try to go to the higher planetary system. Their only profit is to take the trouble of going and coming back. Just as at present, many material scientists are spoiling their time by trying to go to the moon planet and again coming back. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities are described by the Vedas personified as Andha Parampara or blind followers of the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. Although such ceremonies are certainly mentioned in the Vedas, they are not meant for the intelligent class of men. Men who are too much attached to material enjoyment are captivated by the prospect of being elevated to the higher planetary system, and so they take to such ritualistic activities. But persons who are intelligent, who have taken shelter of a bona fide spiritual master to see things as they are, do not take to fruitive activities, but engage themselves in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Persons who are not devotees take to the Vedic ritualistic ceremonies for materialistic reasons, and then they are bewildered. A vivid example may be given. An intelligent person possessing $1 million in currency notes does not hold the money without using it, even though he knows perfectly well that the currency notes in themselves are nothing but paper. When one has $1 million in currency notes, he is actually holding only a huge bunch of papers. But if he utilizes it for a purpose, then he benefits. Similarly, although this material world may be false, just like a paper, it has its proper beneficial utilization. Because the currency notes, although paper, are issued by the government, they have full value. Similarly, this material world may be false or temporary, but because it is an emanation from the Supreme Lord, it has its full value. The Vaishnava philosopher acknowledged the full value of this material world and know how to utilize it properly, whereas the Mayavadi philosopher failed to do so, just as those who mistake a currency note for ordinary paper discard it and cannot utilize the money. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore declares that if one rejects this material world as false, not considering the importance of this material world as a means to serve the Supreme Personality Godhead, such renunciation has very little value. A person who knows the intrinsic value of this material world for the service of the Lord, who is not attached to the material world, and who renounces the material world by not accepting it for sense gratification, is situated in real renunciation. This material world is an expansion of the material energy of the Lord. Therefore, it is real. It is not false, as sometimes concluded from the example of the snake and the rope. Personified Vedas continue. Quote, the cosmic manifestation, because of the flickering nature of its impermanent existence, appear to less intelligent men to be false. The Mayavadi philosophers take advantage of the flickering nature of this cosmic manifestation to try to prove their thesis that this world is false. According to the Vedic version, before the creation, this world had no existence, and after dissolutions, the world will no longer be manifested. Voidists also take advantage of this Vedic version and conclude that the cause of this material world is void. But the Vedic injunctions do not say that it is void. The Vedic injunctions define the source of creation and dissolutions as yato va imani bhutani jayante. Quote, he from whom this cosmic manifestation has emanated, and in whom after annihilation everything will merge. Unquote. The same is explained in the Vedanta Sutra and the first verse of the first chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam by the words Janmadi Ashya Yataha. Quote, he from whom all things emanate. All these Vedic injunctions indicate that the cosmic manifestation is due to the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead, and that when it is dissolved, it merges into Him. The same principle is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Quote, the cosmic manifestation comes into existence and again dissolves, and after dissolutions, it merges into the existence of the Supreme Law, unquote. This statement definitely confirms that the particular energy known as Bahiranga Maya or the external energy, although of flickering nature, is the energy of the Supreme Lord, and as such, it cannot be false. It simply appears false. The Mayavadi philosopher conclude that because the material nature has no existence in the beginning and is non-existence after dissolutions, it is false. But by the example of the earthen pot, and this is the Vedic version, is presented, although the existence of the particular byproduct of the absolute truth is temporary, the energy of the Supreme Lord is permanent. The earthen pot or water jug may be broken or transformed into another shape, such as that of a dish or a ball. But the ingredient or the material basis, namely the earth, continues to be the same. The basic principle of the cosmic manifestation is always the same, Brahman or the absolute truth. Therefore, the Mayavadi philosopher's theory that it is false is certainly only a mental concoction. That the cosmic manifestation is flickering and temporary does not mean that it is false. The definition of falsity is, quote, that which never had any existence but which exists only in name, unquote. For instance, the eggs of a horse or the horn of a rabbit or the flower in the sky are phenomena which exist only in name. There are no horses' eggs, there is no rabbit's horn, and there are no flowers growing in the sky. There are many things which exist in name or imagination, but actually have no factual manifestation. Such things may be called false. But the Vaishnava cannot take this material world to be false simply because of its temporary nature, its manifesting and again dissolving. This is a long prayer by the personified Vedas. How many days we are reading? You know? Very, very philosophical. The personified Vedas continued by saying that the super soul and the individual soul, or Paramatma and Jivatma, cannot be equal in any circumstances, although both of them sit within the same body, like two birds sitting in the same tree. As declared in the Vedas, these two birds, although sitting as friends, are not equal. One is simply a witness. This bird is the Paramatma or superstar, and the other bird is eating the fruit of the tree, that is Jivatma. When there is cosmic manifestation, the Jivatma or the individual soul appear in the creation in different forms according to his previous fruitive activities and due to his long forgetfulness of real existence. He identified himself with a particular form awarded to him by the laws of material nature. After assuming a material form, he is subjected to the three material modes of nature and act accordingly to continue his existence in the material world. While he is enwrapped in such ignorance, his natural opulences become almost extinct. The opulences of the Supersoul or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, are not diminished, although he appears within this material world. He maintains all opulences and perfection in full while keeping himself apart from all the tribulation of this material world. The conditioned souls become enwrapped in the material world, whereas the super soul or the supreme personality of Godhead leaves it without being affected, just as a snake shed his skin. The distinction between the super soul and the conditioned individual soul is that the super soul or the supreme personality of Godhead maintains his natural opulences known as Sad, Aishwarya, Astasiddhi, and Astagun. Because of their poor fund of knowledge, the Mayavadi philosophers forgot the fact that Krishna is always full with six opulences, eight transcendental qualities, and eight kind of perfection. The six opulences are wealth, strength, beauty, fame, knowledge, and renunciation. No one is greater than or equal to Krishna in these six opulences. The first of Krishna's eight transcendental qualities is that he is always untouched by the contamination of the material existence. This is mentioned in the Ishopanishad, Apapa Vidham, just as the sun is never polluted by any contamination. The Supreme Lord is never polluted by any sinful activity. Although Krishna's actions may sometimes seem impious, he is never polluted by such actions. The second transcendental quality is that Krishna never dies. In the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, he informed Arjuna that both he and Arjuna had many appearances in this material world, but that he alone remembered all such activities, past, present, and future. This means that he never dies. Forgetfulness is due to that. As we die, we change our bodies and forget. Krishna, however, is never forgetful. He can remember everything that has happened in the past. Otherwise, how could he remember that he first taught the yoga system of the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivasva? Therefore, he never dies, nor does he ever become an old man. Although Krishna was a great grandfather when he appeared on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he did not appear like an old man. Krishna cannot be polluted by any sinful activity. Krishna never dies. Krishna never becomes old. Krishna is never subject to lamentation. Krishna is never hungry and he is never thirsty. Whatever he desires is perfectly lawful, and whatever he decides cannot be changed by anyone else. What a wonderful explanation. So I'm gonna try to take this screenshot so we know exactly where to begin. Oh, come on. My phone, I have to press both buttons together and it's impossible sometimes. One is so low and come on, capture the picture. No. Sorry. It's gone, I think, that page. Well, we know where we left, and I'll have to spend little time to find out exactly where it is. And yeah. Hari bolo. Huh? Huh?